This is the last time Moses will ever speak. He is 120 years old. His eyes still work. His mind is still sharp. He knows exactly what he's doing. He gathered every man, woman, and child of Israel on the plains of Moab. This new generation, most of them born in the wilderness, who have never seen Egypt, and he began to speak. What followed was not a sermon. It was not a political speech. It was a man saying everything he needed to say to the people he loved before he was gone. Memory, warning, love, promise, all of it, one last time. Moses didn't start with new commands. He started with history. He walked them through 40 years, the Red Sea, the wilderness, the moments they failed, the moments God came through anyway, the plagues, the manna, the quails, Sinai, Korah, the spies, all of it. You were there, he said, or your parents were. Either way, this is your story. You don't get to say it happened to someone else. The past is not background. It's the ground you stand on. Then Moses repeated the 10 Commandments, word for word, out loud, in front of everyone. This generation hadn't been at Sinai. They hadn't stood at the base of the mountain and felt the ground shake. They hadn't heard the thunder that made their parents beg for it to stop. So Moses gave it to them again, not as historical record, as present reality. This isn't what your grandparents agreed to. This is what you are agreeing to, here, today, standing in this field. The law didn't belong to a generation that died in the wilderness. It belongs to you. After all the law, Moses distilled it. One sentence. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength. That's it. That's the whole thing. And then he told them how it should be lived. Talk about it when you sit down, when you walk, when you lie down, when you wake up. Write it on your door frames. Tie it on your hands. Teach it to your children every single day. Not because God needs reminding, because you do. Moses knew exactly what was going to happen. He could see it coming the way a doctor sees a diagnosis. You will cross the river. You will build houses and fill them. You will plant vineyards and eat the fruit. You will have children and accumulate things and grow comfortable. And then you will forget. Not dramatically. Quietly, gradually. You will stop needing God the way you needed him in the desert, and you will mistake that for independence. He warned them before it happened. They heard it, and they still did it anyway. The warning isn't a threat. It's a portrait of what comfort does to memory. Moses didn't just describe worship. He described law, courts, judges, cities where someone falsely accused could run and be safe until a proper trial. 2 witnesses required before any verdict. No bribes, no favoritism based on who you were or how much money you had. This wasn't law built for the powerful to protect themselves. It was law built specifically to protect the people who couldn't protect themselves. The stranger, the widow, the accused. In an ancient world ruled by tyrants and warlords, God built a society where the weak had a voice. That wasn't just a legal system. That was a revolution. Moses anticipated a day when the people would demand a king. God would allow it, but with rules no other ancient ruler would recognize. The king was forbidden from amassing horses, wives, or gold. Most importantly, upon taking the throne, he had to sit down and personally copy out God's law by hand. He couldn't just hire a scribe to do it, and he couldn't just listen to it being read. He had to own God's commands in his own handwriting and read them every single day. Because in Israel, the king didn't make the law. The king was under the law. Moses described a ceremony that would happen after they crossed the river. Half the tribes on Mount Gerizim, half the tribes on Mount Ebal. One mountain for the blessings, one for the curses, and the valley between them ringing with both at the same time. It was built into the geography of the land they were entering. Not just a ceremony, a landscape. Every day you would look up and see both mountains on the horizon, and the choice would be visible in the hills. You live between these 2 possibilities. every day. Moses told them something no one wanted to hear. You are going to fail. Not maybe. Not if you're not careful. He knew, and he described the exile in specific detail. The scattered nations, the foreign lands, the long distance from home, as if he had already been there and seen it. And then, without pausing, he said, even then, even from the furthest point, even after everything, if you turn back toward God, He will bring you home. The warning and the promise were the same speech, because the one who warns you about the fall is the same one who tells you about the way back. Moses wrote a song and taught it to the whole nation before he died. Not a hymn, a testimony, a song about who God is, what Israel did, what was coming, and why it was all still worth holding on to. He said, the laws will be forgotten, the details will blur, but if this song is in your mouths, the essential thing will stay. You can't forget a melody the way you forget a regulation. It was the last thing he gave them. In front of all Israel, Moses stood Joshua up before the tabernacle and placed both hands on his shoulders. No one needed it explained. Everyone watching understood what Moses' hands on Joshua's shoulders meant. Joshua had followed Moses since he was young. He had been at his side through every crisis of the wilderness years. The battle against Amalek, the spies, Korah, all of it. He was the voice of courage when 10 out of 12 spies chose fear over faith. Now Moses' hands were on his shoulders. The weight was passing. After speaking for days, Moses wrote down every word of the law by hand. He gave the scroll to the priests with one command: read it publicly every 7 years so no generation could claim ignorance. Voices fall silent, but scrolls do not. Moses knew his words would outlive him, and that was the entire point. His final act of service to something greater than himself was making sure the truth could survive without him. Moses climbed Mount Nebo alone for his final appointment with God. In the crisp, high air of the summit, he could see the entire promised land stretching out to the horizon. Every valley and plain that Israel would soon occupy lay before him. He saw it all, and then he closed his eyes. It was the peaceful end of a leader who had spent 40 years carrying a rebellious nation. There is no marker, no tomb, and no monument. God buried him, and his grave remains hidden to this day. Moses died on the mountain. God buried him in a valley in Moab, and no one has ever found the place. Israel mourned for 30 days. Then they got up, followed Joshua, and crossed the Jordan. The last words ever written about Moses say, "There has never been a prophet like him since." No one who knew God face to face. No one who did the things he did before all Israel. The world was permanently reshaped by his existence. And for centuries, humanity waited for the one who would finally take his place. A prophet who would truly know God face to face and lead an ultimate exodus out of darkness.